Well, welcome back to the SSL Family Dad channel. We are back out here with the goats, and we have quite a few gates to make. Actually, 3 to be exact. So we're going to make a few different, different types of gates using all scrap wood. 2 different types mainly. 2 of the gates are going to be very similar, but one of the gates will be a little bit different, kind of a cheap and easy type of a gate. So let me show you what we've got here. For those of you who've been following along, we're out here in the new woodland homestead out in the woods with the new goat pastures. We have 2 of them now total, and they need to connect together and also have separate access into them. And so let me show you what we got. Babies. And so we built this little separate pasture back here. I just finished it the other day. For those of you who've been following along, I started it. It's just a little separate area in the woods here. Just kind of goes back and over, and then this is a divider in between the two pastures. So right here, I kind of strategically did the fencing so that it stopped at this tree, so I can just put a gate right here. So I don't need any posts or anything. We've got a nice straight tree here, and we've got a kind of a bow on the bottom of this one, so we'll have to square some things up and then make a nice little, just a small little walk through gate. And then we need to make some kind of an entrance between this pasture and this pasture, so I can move goats back and forth between the 2. And then way up front there, between the little bare tree, there's 2 kind of twisted together, and then the other little one right there where I'm pointing, there is another spot that needs a pedestrian gate or a goat gate. And right now we've been jumping over the fence to get into this pasture, so we need to put a proper gate in and make this a little easier to access. So the first thing that we need to do is just square up the tree here, so I have a nice square entrance. And so we'll use some scrap wood that we have laying around, some treated, some not, and we'll, if we have time, I've got some extra stain laying around, we'll stain it, but most likely it'll just be raw wood today. So let's dig out some scraps. If you're watching this in 2021, you will know that wood is very expensive these days. So everything I build today will be built out of scraps, screws, nails, and things that I have had laying around, saved up, or have been given to me. Scrap wood from other things that I've torn apart and saved, moved from the old farm, the pole barn out to here, and just a bunch of scrap wood and pieces and things. So hopefully I have everything I need to make this work, but we're not dealing with any new lumber here. So let's see what we can build. All right, so we have a squared up place to put the gate in. So it's not pretty, but trying to attach to a tree that's round and trying to make a flat surface is kind of tricky. So that's what I came up with. Of course, if you're dealing with just posts in your fencing, it's a lot easier. As long as your fence posts are square, you can pretty easily make the gate. So next I'm going to actually make the gate itself. And so what I've done is I've saved up these pieces of decking. A lot of this was collected from the side of the road, left at the house, the previous farm that we moved into. It was just there in the pole barn. We moved in. Some of it's older, some of it's newer, but it's just that 5/4 decking. And this works great to make gates. I've made several gates out of this, and it just works really well. So pretty simple process of keeping everything squared up. So I'll get this put together and show you what we got. All right, so I've got the hinges all hooked up here, and just some hinges that I had laying around, some black ones, some extras from our old house. And so now it's time to make the latch. I just so happen to have this part of a latch. This is like a barn door latch. You can actually buy these at Home Depot, the whole thing. There's actually another piece to this that mounts to the actual gate, and it just has a metal rod, and basically it just goes in here like that, and then it can't open unless you flip this up. So it kind of is an auto locking. So I found this piece of metal rod and a bunch of scrap stuff that I had. So I'm going to drill a hole. I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to pound this in here pretty tight, and then we'll mount this on the little support that I made, and that'll be our latch. Okay, so back here between the two pastures, so we've got the one up here, we've got our new gate back there by Summer, and then this is the new pasture here, and we just need to make a connection between the two of them. And I kind of made this little corner here, so when I put the new fencing, I stretched it across to that tree, and then I've got this kind of odd a little corner here. And my plan is to just cut this fencing off, attach an old 2x4 to it, and make a gate that's just out of the fencing that'll just pivot right on the staples and the fencing that's there. We'll just rotate it over, it'll hook on this fence to close, and then when I want to open it, I can just wrap it all the way around and just hook it on this fence so that this spot is open. So let's see how well this one works out. Would you like to make a walk around the outside and just make sure that there's no places where they can get under the fencing? That would be helpful.
Yeah, that's probably good. Oh, yeah, Dad, there's a big hole right here.
I think I trust you, and I think you do great.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to.
Like a chain latch.
What are you gonna do with that, Dad?
What, this?
Yeah.
I'll use it for something else.
Keep it open for him.
I don't know yet. I'm just working through one thing at a time.
Look at this.
So this is just kind of a hillbilly gate. It's just a basic latch made from coat hooks. I had a couple of these laying around in a bin. And so they're alternate facing. So this one faces down, and then the one at the bottom here faces up. And so that allows you to latch it up on a piece of wire and down on the top piece of wire, which makes it so that it can't just be lifted off. So it's kind of trapped. So I'll show you if I can do it with one hand here. So if you latch it underneath there, and then up at the top, you got to kind of bend it so that it latches underneath there. And now it's attached. So it can slide back and forth, but the goats won't be able to lift it off. So it's kind of hooked on there. So you can use, you could use a piece of scrap wood to do that. You could use a piece of angle bracket or angle iron, just faced in opposite ways so that you get it on there and it latches. So it's pretty basic, but this should work. This fence we won't open very much, so we're only gonna let the goats in here and out of here maybe once or twice a year. Other than that, they're gonna stay separate, so this will stay closed. And I could also, you know, wrap a piece of wire around the center of this, or a chain latch or something else, a clip that I could use to just make sure that that stays on there. Sometimes our buck can get pretty rowdy with the gates. So, all right, so the last of the 3 gates here is going to be another nicer one, I guess. This is kind of the front entrance to the pasture here. We've got 2 really nice straight trees, so I don't think I'll need to do too much straightening up or furring out. Might be a little gap at the bottom, but we'll deal with that after, just because of that little curve at the bottom of the trunk. So the plan will be to build the gate between the 2 trees just like we did with the other one. I probably will put the hinges on the bigger tree and the latch on the smaller one. We'll get that wire out of the way. Now this one's going to be a little bit different. I don't have enough of this decking to make the entire gate out of wood. I have a little bit less wood. I've got some untreated 2x4s here, and I've got an old, I think was treated, but it's pretty old, 2x6. And so we're going to use a combination of 2x4s and 2x6s to make a frame, and then we'll use some wire to fill in the middle. So I don't have any more black hinges, but I have these brass ones left over from renovation at the old house. We changed all the hinges to black, so I just put the screws in here too so I can get the tips of them. Doesn't have to be perfect. All right, there we have the last of the 3 gates. So this one's a combination of wood frame and wire fencing. So it's 4-foot woven wire. This is the goat and sheep fencing. So it's got the, what are they, 6x6 squares, I think. And so this is one way to go. It uses less wood, a little bit less wood, not too much. You don't have to double it up like I did. I put the pieces on the front just to cover the edges of the wire. You could use something else to do that. You could put that on the back side so that you only saw the wood frame and the wire staples and everything around the other side. So there's a couple different ways you could go about it, but this is the basic idea. You always want to run your diagonals from the top corner that's away from the hinge down to the bottom. So all of the weight of the gate is on this corner. All of it is pushing down on this side. And so you want to distribute that weight down to the bottom. So the same thing with corner posts on fences. You want to distribute the weight, you know, or the pull of the fence down to a post or the tree, or in this case, the tree. So, but obviously it's holding up to Goaty. It's got a pretty basic latch on it. I'll probably come on and grind this down. It's got kind of a sharp point, but just basic. This is actually from a like a chandelier or something we used to have, one of those hanging lights. And so this just opens. I put this piece 2x4 here just because it was a big gap. So it'll be a miracle if this tree survives, this little tree. It's got so many staples and nails in it by now. There was also a gap along the bottom of this one, and so I buried some rocks in there. I may come back and with a little bit more fill dirt and build that up a little bit. I had to leave the gap just because of the way that the tree flares out at the bottom. I had to move the hinge up, and also the ground slopes down here. So it's just how it ended up, but it didn't cost me a dime. Well, it sure is nice to finally have these gates in place in the second pasture, so we can separate our buck away from the doe and the babies, and hopefully get to milking here pretty soon on this milk stanchion. So lots more to come with goats. I've got shelters to build, chicken coops and other things out here for our animals. But hopefully you enjoyed. If you're looking at, you know, building some gates or fencing and things like that, it gives you some ideas. This isn't the only way to do it, obviously. This is just 3 ways that you can build gates. I didn't spend any money on anything here. This was all scrap wood, leftover pieces and bits of things. I always save hinges and eye hooks and chain and latches and all that kind of stuff. I always save all those parts in bins in my garage or barn, and they always come in handy. And so you know, if you don't have any of this stuff laying around, that's fine if you're just starting off, but it's a good idea to do that. It's a good idea to save those things. As your homestead grows and as things, you know, you do more and more projects, you're gonna have little bits and pieces of things left over, and just save and organize that stuff. And then down the road, you will find yourself spending less and less money on new things. And so we always try to use what we have around here. That's part of homesteading. So hopefully you got some ideas from the 3 gates that we built here today. I'd love to hear from you guys, your ideas or thoughts on any of the 3 that we built today. Of course, the second gate that we did was more of a makeshift gate. That's, you know, doesn't require too much, but it does the job, and it does keep animals out. It's pretty secure. Now, if you have a cow or a horse or something that can, you know, really push through stuff, then you probably need to secure it a little better. But for our goats, that'll keep them in or out, however you want to look at it. And that's all we need to care. That's all we really care about. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to hit thumbs up on today's video. Of course, subscribe if this is your first time to the SSL Family Dad channel. Love to have you tag along. We do lots of homesteading things, gardening and livestock and growing and building, but just about anything you can think of. And so I'd love to have you tag along for all that. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.